Hello, I'm Vesela from Playful Nutrition and welcome to another episode in Holistic Living in Luxembourg. And today I'm really excited to welcome a very special guest, Marise from luxmamaclub.com, and we're going to talk all about birth and conscious birthing, preconception and postpartum. So if you are a future mom or already mom or thinking of becoming a mom or dad, definitely stick to watch this video till the end because we're going to share a lot of important information with you. And let me introduce you to Marise. Through heart-centered and holistic coaching and education, the birth into being method, the head trash clearance method and movement, Marise guides truth seekers wanting to birth the true versions of themselves, to access their inner wisdom so they can be active players in the conscious evolution our planet is facing today. She also empowers families through conscious conception, pregnancy, birth and beyond so future generations can thrive. She is a Dancing for Birth instructor, holistic maternity coach and educator, trained Reiki practitioner, and a birth advocate via the non-profit organization Luxembourg and Parent Prep ASBL, with the knowing that we need to heal birth to heal the earth. I love that. So welcome, Marise. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Very excited for this interview, and I think we're going to cover a lot of interesting information today that not only parents, but obviously parents to be or parents or future parents can really benefit from. And I have known you now for a few years through Lux Mama, and I think you're doing such an amazing job in Luxembourg in raising awareness. So I'm very happy that you're here today to answer all of those questions. And because we have so much to cover, I'm just going to go right into it. So the first question is, let's just focus first about preconception. So what are a few important aspects we often miss when we decide we're ready to have a baby?
The power of actually doing it with conscious intention. This aspect is often missed. In our fast-paced materialistic society today, it's easy to, where we want things to happen right away, it's easy to miss the big picture here, and that is where we're heading as a species and how can I positively contribute to that. It is not really mainstream information yet as well that our early experiences create lifelong patterns and even transgenerational influences. And this you can see in the brilliant film In Utero, and also the association of pre- and perinatal psychology, which you can find at www.birthpsychology.com. They educate the scientific community and the worldwide public about the lasting impact that womb and early experiences have on our world and society at large. And I love this quote from them. So they say that we find that prenatal and perinatal experiences have a profound impact on the subsequent quality of health and human behavior. We see that life is a continuum which starts before conception, not after birth. During this formative period, parents and babies are not isolated from each other, but fundamentally interconnected. A loving prenatal and perinatal experience inspires such things as bonding and sensitivity to others, which have long-term consequences for both individual relationships and for society. Ultimately, womb ecology reveals itself in world ecology as the seeds of peace or violence are sown by parents, their models, teachers and caregivers during pregnancy and birth. So for me, yes, that's pretty profound.
Yeah.
And in today's day and age, the state of the world, where we are heading, the fact that I can actually contribute positively to that when I am going to conceive and welcome new life onto this earth, if we do it with conscious intention through a process that I call conscious conception.
Yeah. And talking about conscious conception, it is such an interesting phrase to use, and I think maybe a lot of people have heard about it already, but can you actually explain what it really means?
Yes. So I knew you were going to ask this, so I brought some notes, so I may refer back to this
Go
because
ahead.
it's very important and I don't want to leave out anything.
Of course.
So conscious conception is all about creating new life with intention. It's about inward looking, consciousness raising and forward thinking. It's said that the primary period for human development occurs from preconception until the early years, and this is the time at which vital foundations at every level of being is established. Emotional, physical, mental, spiritual and relational. And it's also not mainstream information yet that we are all carrying inside of us, our own little ones, and it hurts during its formative period, what we also refer to as imprints. And these imprints, if we are carrying unresolved traumas, big and small, conscious and unconscious, unprocessed emotions from our childhood, these imprints, if we are not releasing them, can be passed on to the next generation unconsciously. And it can also impact our chances or decrease our chances of having a positive, healthy pregnancy, birth and parenting experience, because these imprints are awakened when we enter the conception journey. So therefore the ideal time to address them is preconception, if you have the opportunity and the awareness. And in conscious conception we also don't just take a body approach, we rather take a body, mind, emotion, soul approach, and we want to evaluate our whole wheel of health in terms of nutrition, hydration, environmental toxins, sleep, breathing, stress, thoughts, communication to yourself, to others, your communication and connection to your spiritual nature, or if you feel more comfortable, your connection to nature. And in conscious conception we also want to reflect on our intentions and desires, and we really celebrate the sacred task of creating new life. It's a privilege and a gift and an honor to be able to take part in it. And conscious conception also facilitates a more connected pregnancy and birthing journey, which sets the tone for parenthood. Now, I know many of your viewers may already be in their pregnancy or parenting journey, so they didn't have the opportunity to do conscious conception, so there's the opportunity for some guilt to arise. Now, I want to inspire you to rather transmute that guilt into self-love. And I love this quote from Maya Angelou. She says, "We do the best we can until we know better, and when we know better, we do better." So you could still use the power of intention to create a more thriving life moving forward, because no matter where you are on your journey, if you let go and release of emotional wounds, you are always benefiting yourself and everybody around you. And then more good news, big picture speaking, about the Association of Pre- and Perinatal Psychology I mentioned before. They educate our world in saying that we only need 10% of our population to hold the belief that babies are conscious and sentient, and to adopt behaviors accordingly, and then humanity will reach a tipping point. So I find that very hopeful.
Yes, absolutely. So that's very interesting. So it invites us, this sacred time, as you mentioned, to look inward, and it gives an amazing opportunity for self-growth, self-awareness, and self-development.
Exactly.
So that's really, really nice.
Yes.
So apart from this, what are other ways that we can prepare to welcome a baby and to become parents?
Okay, so for me, there are 9 important things to consider here. So number 1 is first and foremost always to strengthen the relationship to yourself. Learn self and develop your self-awareness skills, learn emotional skills, learn stress coping skills, and cultivate a sense of pleasure in life and the little things, and develop and strengthen your intuition, your internal GPS that is always there to guide you. And then number 2 is to strengthen the relationship to your partner. So if you are going to be co-parenting together with someone else, then you want to be working like a team. So learn communication skills, learn conflict resolution skills as well. Then number 3, simplify your life so you actually have time and room in your life for the needs of babies. And this might take a conscious effort because our society is not really geared towards the needs of babies, more towards productivity.
Yeah.
And then, so number 4, learn about what it is that babies need in terms of development, breastfeeding, sleep, and so on. And then number 5, it's never too early to start to learn about what normal birth physiology really looks like. And the full range of choices that's available in your area, especially if you're coming from a culture, family, media programming that is portraying childbirth in a very negative manner. And so become aware of the different birth settings that are available, the different care providers, so that you can start to formulate your birth philosophy, which is very unique from person to person, and each provider and birth setting will greatly influence your outcome as well. And here you also want to become clear about your rights, and this is no place to make assumptions.
Yeah.
So that was number 6. Then number 7, of course, optimize your own health and well-being, including sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then
We'll talk about this in a minute.
yes.
Yeah.
And then number 8, start building a support system. This is not a journey meant to be walked alone. So
Yes.
this is very important.
Yeah.
And then last few things, number 9, get sunlight where and when you can, and walk barefoot on the earth. Do more things that you enjoy in life, and use the miracle of simple touch and eye gazing with your partner to foster a deeper connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And those are really easy steps that we can integrate in our daily life.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it revolves around, again, self-care.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because in the end, I that's a quote or a motto that I have been living by ever since having my own child, which is you cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to start taking care of yourself first in order to be able to give to others.
Exactly.
Including your baby.
Exactly.
You mentioned sleep as part of the things that you can start doing already before having a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's move on to when you're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
That's magnificent and transformative period in a woman's life. So can you maybe explain, as a sleep coach, you have so much experience and knowledge about it, why is it important to start working on a healthy sleep hygiene already during pregnancy?
Mm-hmm. Well, sleep is a crucial component of our health and well-being, and the healthier we are, the healthier the environment it is that we are providing for our growing babies. Also, looking and caring for our sleep needs will increase our chances of having a healthier birth outcome. And then also, always when we have good sleep, we improve our mental health for ourselves and everybody around us. And last thing here is that the circadian rhythm, or the biological clock that later on in a baby's life will regulate sleep, the circadian rhythm of a growing baby in utero is already taking notes from mom's rhythm.
Wow.
So a regular and good quality, consistently, more or less timed sleep intake by mama is positively affecting the baby's sleep later on.
So, just to recap this, because this is so important. So this means that if you, during your pregnancy, are not really sleeping well, or you're going to bed too late, then the baby might do the exact same things when it arrives.
Not necessarily doing the exact same thing, but it may decrease the chances for your baby's circadian rhythm to develop optimally.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Okay.
And there are things that you can do to improve your sleep. Yes, you are going to have sleep disturbances, but there are many, many things that are in your control that you can tweak and that you can improve on if you know how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this is exactly why I love, as a certified pregnancy and child sleep practitioner, why I love the fact that the institute through which I studied, the International Maternity and Health Institute, that they are pioneering this new way of thinking, starting already early on to optimize sleep, to have a positive ripple effect moving forward.
Okay, that's
Yes.
really interesting. So, get your sleep, mamas to be. We all know that, but then just start having a very healthy routine as well.
Mhm.
What are other important aspects that we can optimize during pregnancy that are going to help us to have an easier transitional period once baby arrives?
So for me, there are two main things here, and number one is just sort out yourself, set yourself up financially and logistically, so you can actually have that sacred first 40 days of nesting after birth, where your only priority should be bonding, resting, and breastfeeding. The rest of the world can wait. Obviously, after that, you want to live the slow life with your child, and the longer you can be together without tons of responsibilities, the better. But that is different for each one of us. And then secondly, to once again simplify your life so that you can actually have time, number one, to look after yourself, self-care, to really take care of yourself, not just of your outer world, but your inner world, which biochemically impacts baby. And remember the author, David Chamberlain, author of many, many books, including Windows to the Womb. He says that the womb is a classroom and every child attends.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. So, and then secondly here, we want to simplify our lives so we have time to tune in and connect with baby. And especially in times of stress, when you feel stressed, to take a moment, slow down, and just tune in and say, whew, baby, this is an intense day for mommy, and I feel quite stressed. And you can just explain that to your baby and say, don't you worry, I'm taking care of this stress. This is my stress. You, baby, are safe, you are welcome, and you are loved. And then the baby will not internalize that stress, and this is what children tend to do. They believe it's their fault.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it's our responsibility to be a gatekeeper of any incoming stress and to back it away and say no to things that you cannot take into your life anymore. But there will still be the unavoidable stress. So just having that awareness and making that connection with baby is so valuable.
So important. I think it's such a good point that you are bringing, because we tend to stress also a lot with pregnancy, because of course we all know your life is going to change forever if it's your first pregnancy, but even if it's not, it's unpredictable. We don't know how your life is going to change. So, and everything obviously can bring a lot of stress. So I think it's such an important, not so difficult actually, an exercise to do. Just, but there are a lot of emotional aspects, of course, that are related to birth. So what can we do so that we can transition from a fear-based point towards a positive experience that can be empowering and even ecstatic?
So first of all, what I would recommend is to look for a local positive birth movement group in your area. Now these groups are there are more than 450 groups worldwide already. It's part of a global movement. And the idea is to empower women and to spread more positivity around childbirth and empower women to approach childbirth differently. So what does a positive birth mean? A positive birth doesn't have to be natural or drug-free. It simply has to be informed from a place of positivity rather than a place of fear. And secondly, what I would recommend is to clear out what's lurking in your emotional closet, because these unresolved emotional aspects have a tendency of showing up in what we call the birthing field. And so they can decrease your chances of having a pleasant experience. And then number 3, not many women know this, but you can actually deliberately take the steps to identify and clear your fears one by one, so they are not your boss. When we have fears in our body, it creates more tension in the body, and then it gets you into the fear, tension, pain cycle, which means that the sensations during childbirth, which is there for a very specific reason to guide you in how to move, these sensations during childbirth will be way more intense. So by actively clearing them, you are opening yourself up for a more positive, copeable, even pleasurable experience. And this is what I love to do as a trained, fearless birthing professional, where I use the head trash clearance method and other tools.
I love the name of this method.
to help individuals and pregnant women or preconception to clear their head trash, emotional triggers, persistent negative emotions, behaviors, limiting beliefs, and so on, so that you can live a life with more freedom, clarity, and emotional resilience. The last point there is, then you can bring pleasure into this as well. Once you've cleared the fears, think of all the elements that you as an individual being, that you need to create the right ambience for conception. Because those exact same hormones at conception is at play in birth. So think oxytocin, the love hormone, is one of the key players in the beautiful symphony of hormones that orchestrate an undisturbed birth. Yes.
So to recap, just to simplify, of course it's more complicated than that, but then first work on clearing the fear, identifying and clearing the fears and negative emotions associating with birth, and then in the space that you have created, fill it up with positive associations.
Exactly.
Okay.
And obviously clear out your emotional traumas that you have in the past. Yes.
Okay, well that's very, very helpful, and it's great that people like you can then help guide women towards identifying them, because sometimes it can be a bit challenging also to identify it, because we're so into our heads and into our ways of being and doing that sometimes we don't even recognize that there is something that maybe needs to be cleared up, right?
Exactly, and we are not victims of childbirth. It can be an empowering experience, and there's actual steps that we can do to get us there.
I love what you just said. We're not victims of childbirth.
Yes.
Such a powerful quote, and I just want to say that because as a woman myself, I have been also in a way preconditioned to think, why does this have to happen to us?
Why did Eve bite the apple?
Exactly, but it's a very, very interesting and positive concept and empowering concept. So definitely check it out. Work on that. So you have also trained, or you did a training for birth into being. We talked about this previously with you, and I found it so fascinating. So I would like you to explain briefly what you have learned during that training and what birth into being actually means.
So during conception, gestation, birth, and early childhood, the limbic system, the emotional part of our brain, registers and records our feelings and sensations before the cognitive thinking brain is developed and can make sense of it. Now, these early imprints are greatly impacting our experience in life as adults, how we show up in relationships, how we react when we are stressed, our capacity to fully accept and love ourselves and others. And so the birth into being method was designed to address any limiting imprints that may be holding us back in life, to literally peel away the layers and reveal the true magnificent being that we all are. And so the actual method is a whole body of work consisting of numerous exercises and processes, working with intentional movement to music, breath work, tri-brain processes, guided visualization and meditations, somatic touch and embodiment practices, to literally increase our inherent production of oxytocin and literally rewire the neuronal pathways in our brain so that we can create new reference points in the body and nervous system for a deep sense of safety, belonging, vitality and intimacy, so that we can be our true selves in life or in birth. Yes, so it's quite deep.
Yeah. You're also an instructor for dancing for birth.
Mm-hmm.
What is dancing for birth, and what are the advantages that this kind of practice can bring to a future mom?
Mm-hmm. So, Dancing for Birth is weekly classes that are held worldwide in cities worldwide and include fun, easy and inspiring dance moves for a pleasurable and positive birth and motherhood experience and pre and postnatal fitness.
Mm-hmm.
We alternate between Latin, Eastern, Caribbean and African specially modified dance moves, and you don't have to be a dancer. We say usually if you can walk, you can dance.
Yeah.
And the classes also include relaxation, mindfulness, celebration, ritual and bonding with each other. And so the moves are specifically designed to optimally position baby for an easier labor.
Okay.
And when you are dancing, you are decreasing your stress. You're building stamina, especially in your thighs, which is great for birth. And you are also building your fitness and your pelvic floor health. And you are increasing your oxytocin once again and your pleasure, which if you want to bring that into birth, is excellent.
Now, it's such a big question. I honestly don't know where to start, but I know you're so passionate about this, and I think it's so important to talk about this. So I really want to talk about birth rights. Mm-hmm. You're very active in this area, and I think also a lot of people just ignore that altogether. A lot of women sometimes just go into labor without really knowing what their rights are and what rights they have. And you kind of feel like you have things done to you during birth rather than feeling empowered. Yes. So in Lux Mama, you are working on 2 campaigns. Mm-hmm. One is called Choice to Have a Doula, and the other one is Choice to Have a Midwife. Mm-hmm. So why is this so important to you, and how can it benefit the birthing woman?
Mm-hmm. So both of these campaigns have been created to raise awareness of the importance of having more freedom of choice in our birth choices, because birth is so individual, and it's in our best interest as individuals and as a society if individuals are able to express themselves in their unique way in birth. And based on the latest scientific evidence-based birth research, birthing families should be able to access the continuity midwifery model of care, which sees birth as normal, mm-hmm. and is a humanized model of care, as opposed to only having access to the medical or the industrial model of care. Mm-hmm. So that is what Choice to Have a Midwife is all about, and empowering not only the birthing families but also the midwives, which has been, through the inequality in the system, been suppressed all these years. Yeah. And then secondly, similarly for Choice to Have a Doula, due to the very well studied and meaningful mental and health benefits for the mother baby and the birthing person's partner, continuous non-medical birth companionship by a person that is handpicked by the family should be possible for birthing families in any birth setting that they choose.
Okay. Yes. Very, very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can have a separate interview on both
I
of
think
those
so
topics.
too, yeah, because I also would like to know how it has changed throughout the years, if you notice already any changes, because I think things are changing too, which is great.
Things are changing.
Yes. And you're bringing so much awareness, which is also great. So congratulations on that, and I really, I think it's so great that you're doing all of this. Could you share 5 tips that a couple can take in order to prepare for this transition as parents? So from being partners to parents, and how can we best navigate all of the emotional aspects that obviously come along as an integral part of this journey?
Mm-hmm. So number 1, so you are looking for 5 tips. So number 1, I can give hundreds.
Let's start with 5.
So number 1 is, the best is again to do the work before. Yeah. Learn new skills, have realistic expectations, become aware of your own needs as individual, how to get them met, because as you said, in order to be able to actually look after the needs of another human being, you need to be serving from a full cup. And then secondly, you also want to be communicating efficiently those needs to your partner and your partner to you as well, so that you can have a good team relationship together in the co-parenting journey, and rather grow together than apart, like more than half of couples do, unfortunately. Exactly. So these skills are what we teach in a group program called the Becoming Us Before Baby program at Luxembourg, which consists of a series of prenatal classes followed by a postnatal reunion to come full circle. And I also teach this privately with couples through mariseheiman.com. So that's number one. Number two is to start building your support network. Look at midwife, parent and doula organizations in your area. Join a parent support group like the new parent circle that we have at Luxembourg. Join a positive birth movement group in your area. And then also start joining a weekly fitness or yoga class, like Dancing for Birth class, for instance. Then number three is to be patient with yourself. This is a steep learning curve, so really be patient with yourself. Then number four, actually to be open to what your baby is here to teach you. We often forget this part. We want to teach our babies everything, but they are coming onto this planet to teach us, I believe, many things.
Yes.
And there are a couple of things. First being to be more playful and creative, not just in dealing with them, but in problem solving in life in general. Life is not so serious. And then also to be patient. They teach us to cultivate patience, I'm sure you.
They test your patience and they teach you how to be patient.
Exactly, it's all for your personal growth, of course. And then also, I believe they are here to teach us how to be more authentic. And this I saw when I looked into the eyes of my two little ones when they were younger. I could see how authentic they are. There's nothing more authentic than a child before the authenticity is programmed out of them by society. And this is actually what sparked my big career change when I realized how inauthentic the life I was living before. And the last thing they are here to teach us, I believe, is to be more present, to live in the moment. This is the only place, not in the future, not in the past, where we are able to really connect with one another. And I love the saying with that conscious parenting expert, Dr. Shafali. She always says, children are the gurus of living in the moment. So I love that. And then my last tip, number 5, last but not least, is to be compassionate with yourself. We need more love in this world, and it starts with ourselves. Be compassionate with yourself in this journey. It's not an easy journey, and this is the way you will be modeling it to your child, so that your child can learn to love themselves and bring more love into this world.
I love this. Thank you so much, Marise. Those are very interesting tips, and I think just to kind of wrap up this whole interview, in the end it comes down to creating self-awareness, self-growth, and learning to be ourselves, to accept ourselves, to be patient with ourselves, and to be authentic. Because in the end, we as parents act as role models to our children. So we need to work on ourselves, because how we act, what we do, this is what our child is going to see and copy. So it does start with us in the end. That's absolutely true. So thank you so much for bringing all of those important aspects of preconception, pregnancy, and postnatal, that kind of magical moment in life that we can experience, and of how we can make this more mindful, if you will, and how we can actually really use that moment for self-growth and self-development. And if you are in Luxembourg, but even if you're not, because I think you also do a lot of online services, make sure you check out Marise's 2 websites. So one is marisehyman.com,
Exactly.
where you offer services for sleep coaching, and luxmama.com, where you have all of the other services, dancing for birth.
Luxmamaclub.com.
Luxmamaclub.com, sorry, yeah. So yeah, check them out, and I hope you found this interview interesting and that you've learned something new, and I'll see you at the next interview. Bye.
Bye.